it's like the shore. You can really share such a well-rounded perspective before I have come to the other side of this transformation into a totally new energy, a new time, and a new space. I'm ready. I'm here.
I
Wait.
think it's really important for our society to be able to see what a transformation looks like. That's the whole purpose of transformation. And when you find that epiphany that helps you bridge that thing that keeps you in the past, then your transformation, your journey really can be seen.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, where we speak the language of cannabis freely and uncensored while educating our audience on safe use of this live plant therapy. You should know what's in your cannabis, what's good and what's not, because cannabis does not come with an FDA stamp of approval, yet. The information you will find here comes straight from scientists and clinicians, doing the work and reporting their findings in reputable outlets. Hopefully, we can inspire you to research the facts as we know them today. Cannabis is an amazing alternative in health remedies, with the potential to alleviate typical disease problems and troubling side effects, even those caused by synthetic prescriptions. Here now is the host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast. She is a 21st century cannabis shaman, not a doctor, not a scientist. Raised by nuns and wolves in the verdant cattle pastures of the Oklahoma oil fields, here to amplify the truth of this great big story of cannabis in historical, political, scientific, and spiritual terms, so you can make educated decisions about the medicine you choose to ingest. Please welcome Honey Smith Walls.
Welcome, Jamie London Wollberg, to the Cannabis Truth Podcast again. And thank you, darling, for being here. It's been a while.
It has been. It has been.
Yeah.
I'm in Brooklyn, New York now. When we first connected and I was first on the podcast, I was in Los Angeles in a very different yet connected industry space and mindset. And so much has completely changed and really just evolved. I have evolved. And I'm excited to be back home in New York, where I was born and raised, and believe that that's where I'm meant to be right now.
Oh, it's such a good feeling when you believe you're where you're meant to be. Not everybody gets to have that, enjoy that feeling.
It's a mindset for sure.
Yeah. 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 It is. When you and I first met, I'd never been to or talked to anybody like you before who was so obviously well grounded and already had a certain level of wisdom about spirituality that I was just exploring, had no idea, didn't understand anything, and used to open my little eyes to so many things. I was so grateful, still am, so grateful. And then, I moved from Florida. That's where I was when you and I first met. And boy, the atmosphere sure is different. I'm up here in Orchard Country of Michigan now, about 50 miles north of Detroit. And gosh, it's gorgeous up here, but cold.
Dallas. Yeah, I would imagine that it's beautiful. It's definitely the weather has gotten much colder here very quickly. And, I think it's very cool that our second time doing an episode together is when we're in a totally different place. And the irony of this as well is that I'm moving again. And I'm actively apartment
Where are
hunting.
you going?
I'm going to still be in New York. Right now, the desire and goal is to be in Manhattan or close to it, which is something that did not seem like it made sense to me or was achievable for a really long time. And it may not be the case because I'm looking for something super specific. Um, that said, I have the privilege to have the time to wait and to focus on this. And this decision is important because it's going to really up level my life in a lot of ways. And so like how I felt into the soul of coming back home to New York and ending up in Brooklyn, which was one of the boroughs I had not yet lived in New York. I know that where I'm headed next is also very much soul led. And I don't really know. It could be Brooklyn, it could be the Bronx, it could be Queens, but I will be doing this move very soon, ASAP. So I'm already actively in process. So you're catching me at a very interesting time in my life because I'm very much at a crossroads and I don't know where I'm going to end up. And that feels both, a little intense and open and flow, a little bit less grounded than I usually am, but I also feel very grounded in this decision. So, you know, there's a balance of things. You can be grounded in certain ways, and when you zoom in, you're like, uh-oh, I don't really know what's going on. But it's all going exactly how it's meant to. And I'm so excited that you have continued to deepen within yourself and your own journey with spirituality. And I'm honored to be considered a part of the beginning of that journey for you.
Yeah, you really were. You really, really were, Jamie. And, I just felt like a sponge when I listened to you, and I was just so filled with new ideas that really and truly resonated with me. So I didn't even know what that meant back then. Resonated with me. Yeah, resonated with that. All
Yeah.
that woo-woo stuff. But honestly, the peace is within. The peace is within. And no matter what you're going through in your life or what changes come about or, befall you, the peace is within. And when you find somebody who talks about that and it finally resonates, I may have heard your message several times from other people, but it didn't resonate. I didn't catch it. And people have to hear something quite a few times too
Yes.
for it
Yeah.
to, sometimes for it to sink in. So,
I'm I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we reconnected because everyone is a key for each other. And we never really know who that's going to be or why or how. And that's part of the magic of connection and of the human experience. And we do need to hear things many times. I don't remember where I heard this, but statistically, they say that currently they look at it as 7 times. We need to hear something 7 times before it fully sinks in because something you can hear something, then you can actively hear something, and then it starts to deepen. But there's a level of how many times deepens that processing, and the processing is how you integrate and you
yeah.
get grounded. And I think that it's interesting because in hindsight now, speaking to someone and saying I resonate with them is like people are like, that word's overused. And I'm like, is it still true? It's still true. We put a lot of effort into getting that, to sink in.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's ever used at all. I think we need a lot more of that going on between us in our communication, so that more people resonate. It just means, it's just vibrating, just catching the same vibrational tone so that you can hear it, is it not?
Yes, it's an alignment. We are all
It's an alignment.
frequency, we are all energy, and we hear what we need to hear. In the same way, I used to get very upset about my memory and the way that my brain functions. And through this journey of deepening within my spirituality and being a clear channel, I thought, well, surely this is going to enhance my memory. No, I have now more things that my brain is trying to store. And what I've realized is when I need to know something, I will remember.
Yeah,
And that's what we're all doing together. We're constantly remembering. You know how sometimes you have this moment and you interact with someone new and you're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I totally forgot about that." Well, at some point you knew that and you still technically knew it, but you didn't remember it until it was relevant for you to remember. And the reality is, we don't need to know everything, and we don't need to know everything all at once.
Speaking of everything, 'tis the season, and I accidentally, and I literally mean accidentally, overheard a Halloween commercial. And it was a candy commercial, but it was so terrifying from the kind of graphic junk that they put up with the slasher knives on the fingers and the ugly faces and skulls that, have worms coming. I mean, the visuals are really nightmarish. And then it's candy. I'm like, ugh. First of all, I haven't watched TV in years to see a commercial.
Mhm.
And to see what they're putting on in front of our kids that are just so desensitizing them is really eye-opening and answers a lot of questions of, oh, that's why so much chaos and such insensitive society. And our society is being desensitized, has been for 100 years with television and movies.
I both agree and see more as well in addition with this. I feel that absolutely a desensitization is happening. I think I have realized recently more so as I've been thinking actually a lot about this, as I've been spending more time with some littles as we were speaking to before we started recording. Um, thinking about what they're consuming and what's out there, and even the way that I change how I consume. Like, part of why we haven't connected in so long is because I decided that I didn't really want to be on social media very much anymore. And I wanted to be way more intentional with my energy and charge that battery and figure out what that is. But I think part of it is the shift in reality and the veil really being removed into a lot of different areas of life and a lot of truths that were hidden being revealed. And in order for our nervous system to truly handle it and for humans to evolve to navigate these things, there is, I think, a level of desensitization that's required. Otherwise, everyone is going to freak out. Like, one of my special interests is extra dimensionals, and there's a lot of stuff going on about that. And the reality is, like, things are not going to fully be revealed until humanity is ready to play peacefully, to actually have the nervous system handle the idea of other beings, of higher thinking, of technology, of all of these different things. Because right now, humanity is super loving, super angry, and sort of like this wave in between that we're starting to try to bridge this gap and to heal. I think that the flip side of this is that, especially with the younger generations and the larger awareness and conversation around neurodivergence, we're realizing actually how sensitive a lot of people, especially these younger generations, are. And so it's this really powerful merge of the generations sharing in wisdom and experience of this grounding energy, this totally new energy, the resistance where everyone is meeting, and the opportunity for our free will to turn on and say, oh, I now see both sides of this. What is it that I really desire? And I think that this is an opportunity for humanity as a consciousness to collectively choose what the story of humanity is going to be now and going forward. And I think that media plays a huge role into that. And I don't watch cable. Like, I have a very specific way of things that I watch. I'm still very seldomly on social media. I do not doom scroll. I basically only open things 99.9% of the time that someone directly sends to me who I know, so that I know it's going to be a vibrational match. We need to be careful though, and we need to be careful to not bypass what's happening and to not acknowledge, right? We don't want to become naive. And so there's just a really delicate balance that's happening, and that's a big part of the shift right now.
It's hard to swallow that this chaos is intentional,
Mhm.
but I do so stepping out of it and away from it and just letting it be their baggage in, instead of succumbing to all of that because they make you so afraid.
Mhm.
Tell us what you're looking to find in Manhattan that's so special.
Mm. So one of my best friends and I are looking for a place where, currently I predominantly professionally serve from home. So, we need a place that feels to me like a peaceful sanctuary for service, for development, for healing, and also something that's fun and playful and connective. I have, really gone to sort of throughout my healing journey in a lot of ways of really big disconnect. And there's a part of me now that's like, okay, we're getting ready to reconnect. What does that look like? What does that mean? Um, Relatively recently, I was officially diagnosed with autism, which was something that we knew, but was a very long journey to get to that point of actual diagnosis. Not easy to go through that process.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, while being non-political as a being, being trans, being autistic, trying to navigate all these different programs and things, you are dealing with the politics of the reality of things of how they're shaped.
Yeah.
That's part
Part of it.
part of it, and and it's impactful. And
Yeah.
so part of being in New York is having access to things that I don't have majority of
Elsewhere.
other places, really.
Right. Right.
Um, and being born and raised here, I do have family here. I came back home to heal a lot of the things that I was not ready or able, frankly, to heal before, and have made massive progress, profound progress in doing that. And now the progress is showing up in where a lot of my family is moving to various parts of the world. And the question immediately from everyone was like, oh, so are you going back to LA? Are you staying in New York? What are you doing? And I think what's gotten clear for me is being in Manhattan and New York in general is me now saying,
Mhm.
okay, this is now my new book that I can see on the shelf is about to be, open and unveiled to me is really about purely focusing on myself within my purpose. And I'm called to be here. I know that there's more that I'm learning here. There's more service that I have here. And my dream and calling of building these wake and wellness centers still exists on a global scale, and New York is still a place where I believe one of these belongs. So I don't know how long I'll be here. I don't have an attachment to that. I simply know that right now this is where I'm meant to be. And being in Manhattan allows for access to all the branches of what New York has to offer. And it makes it easier to access people and their businesses who are traveling as well. At this point, I've lived in Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, and now possibly, somewhere else. And I lived and grew up in Westchester quite a bit throughout my youth. I did Jersey for a hot minute years ago, and I think now is an opportunity for me to be at a place where I can see where I've been and
Mm.
where I am and where I'm going. And apparently, that's a big part of my human design, which is to live at the shore. And initially, I thought that was quite literal. I was like, oh, I need to be at water. And which technically, of course, Manhattan isn't. And Um, but what it really means is to be able to have a scope of what's around you and to see where you've been and where you are and where you're going. It's much more about time and space and experience than it is to necessarily just be at the water. So that's what I'm looking for. That's why I'm here. That's what I feel called to. New York is a special place, and wherever I end up next, who knows? But I'm not future tripping about where that will be because I feel that I'm going to be a little bit all over the place. And that's the beauty of honoring the sacred calling of service.
Are you accepting clients now while you're where you are?
Absolutely. Yes. While I will start packing and things will be a little bit chaotic,
Yeah.
I'm also open to receiving and traveling. I'm in my healing space. My healing space is fully set up and active. It will be the last thing that gets packed up. So I am definitely providing of service, especially virtually. And even though I am transforming my business a little bit and what that's going to look like, I think that anybody who comes into my sphere right now to receive from me will get to see who I was and who I'm becoming, and that's going to increase the power and potential of what they're going to be receiving. And I think that when I'm providing service, I'm truly in belief that I'm collaborating with someone. And so I believe that while some may perceive when you're in the middle of transition, you stop because then you're at this space in between. But I actually think that's a very powerful place to serve from because again, it's like the shore. You can really share such a well-rounded perspective before I have come to the other side of this transformation into a totally new energy, a new time, and a new space. So, yes, I am accepting and receiving those who are needing support around burnout, who are leaders, who are neurodivergent and spiritual like myself, and are ready to show up powerfully and authentically and live a healthy and balanced life. I'm ready. I'm here.
I
Wait.
think it's really important for our society to be able to see what a transformation looks like in real time. It's nothing scary. It's nothing scary. But staying in the same fearful state of mind is scary. That's the whole purpose of transformation. And when you find that epiphany that helps you bridge that thing that keeps you in the past, then your transformation, your journey really can be seen.
Yeah, honey, no.
This is a shout out to all my entrepreneurial sisters. I'm wondering, are you feeling stuck like I did when I first started my business? I hadn't been through business college and there were so many things I didn't know and understand, especially about marketing, especially about the back-end bone structure of your business and all the little things that you could do to help yourselves in the way of tools. So looking forward, if you need help in getting those little projects done, but you've been stumped because you just couldn't figure out one piece of that app or the next step or the next darn, and you just wanted somebody to just show me how. I'm your girl. That's why I created honeyshelp.com. Now you can get a la carte help for those little projects that have just been nagging you and nagging you. I can help you with a lot of that stuff that builds the backbones of your business. And we can do it together, stress-free, where you will enjoy learning how to structure the backbones of your business. I hope that you will go visit honeyshelp.com for more information about what we could do together to get you past those hurdles that have just been stumping you for so long, when all it would take is just a few minutes of somebody showing you how. I'm your girl. This is Honey Smith Walls, and I hope that you will too. Go visit honeyshelp.com today. Hi, Honey Smith Walls here. I'm host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, weekly for the past 6 years. But today I'm inviting you to a Facebook group called the Holistic Relief Summit, in hopes that you too will come for the peace and stay for the epiphanies. It's a beautiful space for women to find all kinds of relief from all kinds of suffering. Come join us for free. I was such an anxious woman, I had no idea. But when I used this, that's all gone. It's just gone. So I wanted to let you know that if you've got any kind of issues using a cannabinoid or the cannabis plant, you could get this to use for pain relief and anxiety relief and inflammatory relief. The 3 things I talk about most by using cannabis products. And yes, Dr. Blair also has cannabis products that he has formulated too. But this one, this is just one terpene in a liposomal form. That means you can swallow it and it's liquid and kind of tastes like caramel apples to me. So you see this girl thriving at 71. I blame this product for most of it. I hope you too go look up Dr. Blair's. It's called Able Docs Apothecary is the name of his company. You can find him at blairmedicalgroup.la as well. And the name of the product is BC Plus. BC Plus. It's so cool.
Staying in the same fearful state of mind is scary. If you've forgotten how to dream, you may need an epiphany for a transformation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and that's a choice. It's a choice, and it's one that requires courage and audacity to live authentically. I have really come to an unshakable faith that if we are not living authentically, then we are not truly living. And we cannot live an effective and joyous life, a healthy and balanced life, and be in unconditional love without that.
Yeah.
It's otherwise that's the chaos within. And that's what waking in is. That's what wake in is about. It's about the fact that we've woke up. That's that external awareness, the connection that we have with the larger, the one. And then now we go within. So that way we can heal and discover more of who we are and create that peace. Because at the end of the day, we are really here to serve the self first and foremost. That is actually how we serve the collective. One of my biggest mantras that I say all the time now is when you receive, we all receive.
Mm.
And it's
Yeah.
true.
Mm. I've been speaking on a lot of feminine forums over the past year, and woo, the transformational healing that women alone are seeking. I feel this rising coming up of women, but oh my goodness, the hurdles they have to overcome, to get there. I think the spirituality that we're seeking to help us understand what's really right for us has been needed for a long time because of how the patriarchy has raised our societies globally.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of change needed and a lot of acceptance needed, realization, that sort of thing. And that doesn't come easily, and it's different. It's a different epiphany for every single human. And so you have to say it over and over and over again in so many different ways. Peace comes from within, and the way to get there is. And you can't do it by listening to other people's chaos, fear, and trembling, and all of that on a daily dose or ritual. You can't do it. You have to take control of your own issues, your own mind, and determine that you're going to be a better human and try harder to be a better human, not to snap, not to grouse, not to do all the things that we do so easily as humans that would be so better if we didn't. Don't have to honk your horn. Don't have to flip the bird. Don't have to grumble under your voice. You can forgive instead. Oh, that person must be in a hurry. Oh, that person, poor thing lives in anger. Oh, that person, whatever, hasn't made it to the next level yet. I feel for you. But I love this spiritual realm now and getting there. Cannabis is what helped me get there. Oh, but what I was saying is that um, I've been speaking on all these feminine forums lately, and the healers that are there, the different modalities that are available for us to heal from within are many, but it's hard to get our word out. It's hard to get past the chaos and the sound of the television and, devices.
It's definitely about changing the language and the energy to be heard, right? It's sort of like what you were saying earlier about hearing things at that right frequency. If you think about tuning the radio, right, and you have that static, you're tuning it just to the right amount where you can properly hear it. And that's what we're all doing. And human beings are tuning forks. We are energy, we're frequency, we're sound. Everything that's happening, we get to tune into it because everything is happening all at once. And so if you want to be angry, then you can be. If you want to be unconditionally loving, you can be. If you want to laugh, you can. If you want to discover something new, you can. If you want to create a new wave, a new frequency and sound, you can. Everything is now about we see it and how do we shift to something new. And that is a lot about who we are being, who are we choosing to be, as opposed to focusing on what are we doing. We do based on who we are. So we need to be first. And that is the block within people waking in, is that they feel, well, I need to do something. And I get it. I'm an Aries. I know what it is to feel that powerful ambition and that motivation and that problem solving, action oriented, that safety comes from that action. But the action needs to be inspired action. If we just act because we are reacting as opposed to responding. And that's what I believe you're speaking to. So
Mm-hmm.
is not just reacting is honking the horn. I'm agitated. Responding is let me zoom out into that observer mode, which is really what I felt you were describing earlier of how you just let it be their thing and you pull yourself away. And when you do that, you can see, okay, this is a journey that's meant for certain people. People recently, I've been getting asked a lot, were you always like this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I was not always like this at all. You can even see it all over the internet because I've openly shared my transformation. I used to be so angry and so different. I made such different choices. And now that I know that choices are not right or wrong, it's just about what feels good. Like I was not happy. I was not healthy. I was not balanced. I was burning out all the time. So addressing all of who I was being and how I was feeling enabled me to see that I could choose to be differently, and therefore I chose to respond differently. Do I get it right every single moment? No, I'm a human. I'm a soul floating in a human vessel trying to figure it out. Adult baby, just like every. That said, the amount that it requires to get me up there is a lot. Like it takes a lot. It's usually got to be like a domino of a lot of pretty horrific things before I sort of lose it. But even if I come out of that space of peace and clarity where I am right now and grounded, I can get back there so much faster now. I forgive so much deeper, so
Mm.
much faster. An unhealed Aries has a really tough time apologizing or admitting that they are incorrect about something. And now a healed Aries looks like one that is balanced who can apologize first and powerfully and passionately with empathy, can forgive not only others, forgive myself for however it is that I was showing up, because all of that is really irrelevant now. At the end of the day,
Right.
people may remember how you make them feel.
That's
You
right.
can always replace that last emotion. You can always replace that last memory. And that's why it's important for us to say what we mean and mean what we say and do so in a divine time for us and to not
Mm.
hold back because we don't want to be in a situation where many of us have not had a chance to say goodbye, have not had a chance to clear the path to clear within those relationships or who we
Mm.
were because someone has left in their divine timing or we're at the end of our lifetime and we're in bed living with regrets and resentments. I don't choose that. That's not real for me anymore.
I want to ask you about something you said a minute ago. Did it bug you when you found out or when they labeled you as autistic?
No, because I was seeking that diagnosis for a long time. It felt very freeing and it felt um confirming.
Yep.
I no longer look for validation in the same way
Yep.
I once did. Now we're all human. We can all look for it
Yep.
from time to time, but I really look more so for the clarity, which to me is the confirmation. It's the, oh, okay, yes, we're on the same page.
Right.
And it's human to desire
Yep.
to feel belonging, to be on the same page, to have an understanding, especially as an autistic person. There's a lot of, explanation as to why I always want to know why. Like I want to understand how it all works, how it all functions together. I would say that what's been bothersome to me is how dysfunctional the the way that they go about this is and how they label you and how it's different from state to state and how there are these levels as if they're somehow better than and less than and the fact that
Mm.
once again I find myself in a beautiful community that is separated because
Mm.
it's a spectrum and they feel that there needs to be some sort of like massive separation. And a lot of it comes from holding out on resources that are infinite, as in every other community. And so it's just the same thing over and over and over again. That's what bugs me
Yeah.
because they labeled me as severely autistic. And I would love for someone to try to explain to me what that means.
What? Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't
I
even understand what that
mean,
means. I
what is that?
understand.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Who knows? Who knows? And the other thing is that a lot of people who I've been sharing with recently, especially people who haven't met me in person, or it's their first sort of early encounters with me and they haven't been
Mm.
following my journey, they're like, you don't really seem like, autistic or like severely autistic. I'm like, first of all, you know, that's not the compliment that you think it is. Because there's nothing wrong with being there's nothing effectively wrong with being autistic. Um,
Sorry.
yeah. It's the same thing with people who say to me like, "Oh wow, like you don't look trans." I don't have a problem with you having that realization. that in your mind I don't depict as someone that is trans non-binary to you. That's I don't have any problem with that. We're human. We all have our own
Sure.
processing and realizations. But it's like, I feel the goodwill within it, but I'm also like, okay, we need to be aware though that this is not creating the effect that we think it is. And there's just a lot of gaps within awareness. Right now, the big separation is because of resources
Yeah.
and a misunderstanding of who actually needs those resources and what they look like.
Yeah.
So I have people close to me who have, children, other people who are within the depths of the spectrum that are leaning more into like, this is a disorder, this is completely disruptive to the entire way of functioning, and we need things to like get from moment to moment. And then there's this belief of like higher functioning where it's like, it's a superpower and everything is amazing. And now we have home. And like all of these things are true. And I'm like, can we not all see that all of this is true? And there's always people who are also in the in between. And I feel like it's in the in between. And I say to people, look, if you're in my zone of genius,
Yeah.
you can either look at that as my autism factoring into my zone of genius, or you're not going to see that as my truth because I'm in my zone of genius. But if you come to my apartment and you're with me from my moment to moment and how I have such a powerful routine to stay regulated with emotions, what it requires for me to get
Right.
regulated, what it requires for me to do dishes, to like,
Right.
you would see more. And now I don't mask remotely how I used to. I will, if I
Mhm.
obviously legitimately need to for survival in a moment, I will.
Uh-huh.
But ultimately, that's not the path that I take anymore. And so for me, what bugs me is like the lack of resources that I've spent the last year getting this diagnosis specifically because I need resources that I'm not getting, that
Yeah.
I didn't get when I was a kid, because
Um,
when millennials were children, this language was not there. This support was not there. And certainly the older generations, of course, but I can only speak for my own
right.
experience. And then also being raised into womanhood, well, the way that autism presents for someone who's female is totally different, totally different. And there's a lot more masking that goes on. And so my charts were literally like, Jamie's in the 99th percentile here and in the 10th percentile here. And they were like, we don't get it. Jamie's clearly intelligent. And they just smacked this label of executive functioning disorder, which now, of course, we know is a core thing of neurodivergence and autism is
Wow.
is this and getting that support. And so the things that I didn't get that I really want right now are support with socialization, support with things that I find really difficult, like organizing my space and figuring out how to make these micro changes. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people could say, well, you changed your whole being and all this stuff. Like, how is like changing from doing dishes to like going on a business call tough for you? And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it to you, but it is. It's just a very different type of change. Big changes are things that I can lean into and do. These micro changes are more challenging. Things like billing and the business side of life. Like these are the things that I'm challenged with. The reason why I haven't had a profession flourish is not because I don't have the skills. I have more skills than ever. I'm better than ever before at providing the service and supporting within burnout. That is not a question. But you ask me to go and do forms for taxes for my business, or to do mailings, or to figure out how to create a marketing thing that actually feels sustainable for me. These
Yep.
are the things that are challenging. These are the things I need support with. Dating. I mean, the way I've learned more about dating by watching Love on the Spectrum, which if you, honey, you would adore this show if you are not familiar with it. It's
I
on
haven't seen
Netflix.
it.
You don't have to go to cable. You don't have to watch commercials. It's called Love on the Spectrum. It started as a show in Australia, and now they have
Uh-huh.
as well an American version. And it's literally love stories of people of different ages and walks of life with
Oh.
varying degrees and experiences of the spectrum of autism. They
Oh.
bring on experts to teach about this, and one of the experts said Going on a date is just having a conversation and sharing interests. And I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? What are you telling me right now? Like this entire world, demystified, Um, there's a lot of things that someone would just not understand about me or point out or realize until you understand all the nuances. When you're
Right,
my client or you're interviewing me for a business thing or whatever, like you're not going to see all these things, not because I'm hiding them, but just because they're not necessarily relevant. We're all multifaceted human beings. I can't, nor do I need to, speak to every single aspect and layer of who I am
right,
in an instant.
right,
That's not really possible.
right.
Um, you know, Not in one instant, in one moment, in one frame of who I am, right? If
Mhm.
looking at a picture is says 10,000 words, like that's because we make all the words. Like it's all the combinations of this moment frozen in time. But in real time, in a present moment, I can unveil all of these different things. And I also don't need to. I don't need somebody to understand every little aspect of me because that's not what I need for them to see me or to feel seen or to be unconditionally loved or to serve powerfully. You just need to know how I can connect with you and how I can help you. That I can spell out very easily.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And that's a pretty big MO if you ask me, I still love the spirit within you, darling, and I'm so glad to connect again. I wish you the best up in Manhattan or wherever you end up landing with the Health and Wellness Center. And just know that I support you and love you and thank you. I'm grateful to you for helping me start my own spiritual journey a long time ago. And thank you for helping us see a better and more rounded perspective of autism, too, because you're the third adult in the last couple of months that I've talked to has been diagnosed. You said it was a relief. I've heard that before.
Mhm.
And so sometimes labels and understanding how the world thinks of our behavior can be a good thing so that we can measure ourselves and understand what's going on and what's been happening in the past and why things are the way they are and what's what. But you showing us this path is so helpful too, because you're the gold standard of this in my books.
Oh gosh. Thank you, but please don't put me on any pedestal. I definitely don't see myself as any better than or less than anyone else. And
Of course not. That's not your, no, that's not your
yeah,
message at all. And your message has also always been helpful and expansion of your mind and spirit and peace.
thank you.
So I'm glad to see it happening in you and for you and because of you.
Thank
How
you.
can our audience get in touch with you if they'd like to have a session with you, Jamie?
Oh, well, you've got a couple options because I like to be accessible and I understand people like what they like. So you can email me at wakeinno love@gmail.com. I'm sure that Honey will share that and my
Absolutely.
LinkedIn as well. That's where I'm probably most active other than Insight Timer. I'm a teacher on Insight Timer, so you can always find me there.
Okay.
And I have a Calendly link in all of those locations with my website, waken.com. And you'll find a link where you will click and be able to have a discovery call with me, or whether you want to take the self-love audit and experience a no strings attached analytical look at your personal and professional performance. I am happy.
Ooh, that sounds very compelling.
I love it. I've done I think about 70 of them now, and it's one of the most powerful ways that I serve.
Wow. Say it again. Say the title again.
The self-love audit. So
The
it is
self-love audit.
yes. It's
Yeah. How do we
one-on-one
get to
with me.
that? Through your LinkedIn
Yeah, you
or?
can get there through my Calendly or my LinkedIn or on my website. All of them. I can send you the links as well, honey.
Sure. What's the
Yeah.
name of your website?
Wake-in.com. So WAKE-IN.com.
Okay.
And on there, it will be easy as pie. I've worked very hard on my website. I'm in the process of making it even more simple.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I look forward to clicking on that myself and taking a peek, and we'll put that information in the notes.
Mm.
Jamie, thank you for coming and hanging out with us and helping us see where you are now. It's a delight to speak with you again.
It's my pleasure. I love you unconditionally. I love all of you unconditionally who are listening. And I hope that you remember that all of this is possible for you to be yourself. People will love you and see you for who you are. And I will always be here to support in that as well.
So sweet. Thank you, Jamie. I hope to see you again real soon, honey. And do come back anytime and just chat. This is always a great conversation that people need to hear over and over again. Peace from within, right?
Peace from within.
All right, darling. Take care. Much love to you.
You've been listening to another Cannabis Truth Podcast with 21st century cannabis shaman Honey Smith Walls. Using cannabis mindfully as medication is a different concept in Western healthcare philosophy, specifically over the past century. There's a lot to learn and reconsider. The scientific truth of cannabis is finally getting out and is wide open for all to see at respected medical sites like the National Library of Medicine at pubmed.gov and the Journal of American Medical Association at JAMAnetwork.com. We here at the Cannabis Truth Podcast are right there in the thick of it, alongside the titans of medicine, as a fly on the wall. We are not doctors, nor did we go to medical school, but we have taken dozens of private cannabis courses and still engage in continuing education offered by expert cannabis scientists. Over the past few years, we slowly began to see and understand the bigger picture. Now we hear from people all day long about cannabis. It is so important to use verifiably safe products. The process of getting a diagnosis from your family doctor and taking your records to a cannabis specialist can lead you to the correct cannabinoid therapy for your specific issues. Otherwise, you're simply your own guinea pig looking for answers without the foundational knowledge or ability to determine your best strategy. To find a qualified cannabis expert in your area, visit cannabisclinicians.org. This is a national society of cannabis experts. Look for the link in the show notes. Unless otherwise proven by a reputable third-party lab test, please regard all street weed as contaminated. It may do grave harm to a patient with a delicate immune system who already has inflammatory issues like arthritis, IBS, fibromyalgia, or worse. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you find value and understanding through the conversations you've heard on this podcast.
A quick shout out to Nathan Pierce and Daniel Rome of the 406 Budcast and their brilliant tech goddesses who created what you're about to hear next.
She walked in with wisdom and a fire in her eyes, talking plant truth where the silence lies. From the roots to the bloom, she saw the light. Now she's teaching folks how to heal it right. Not afraid to challenge the tale of lazy myths and a system that failed. She's got science in one hand, stories in the other. Lifts up the voices they tried to smother. Honey knows, honey grows. Truth in the soil and love in the smoke. Speaking for the elders and the ones left behind. She's the shaman of the leaf with a warrior's mind. Yeah, honey knows how the healing flows. From Florida sun to digital waves, she's breaking down fear with every word she says. Cannabis truth, That's her battle cry for the mamas and papas still scared to try. She ain't selling hype, she's serving facts, taking big pharma to school with class. With a mic and a mission, she lights the way for the lost and the curious every day. Honey knows, honey grows, truth in the bud and peace in the dose, teaching the plant like a sacred art, from the ECS to the beating heart. Yeah, honey knows. Honey healing flows. She's been burned by the system, lifted by the plant, giving voice to the ones who thought they can. A sister, a savior,